Well, I think your analysis was very straight line. History doesn't run in a straight line.
Kid, you cannot tell your neighbor he is stealing ducks when you are stealing frogs.
As High Commissioner, I was wrong. As Charandas Prasad, I reacted naturally how any person would have.
I did not come here for that kind of abuse. I did not come here for that kind of abuse. If you're going to go along that road, I'll walk off.
But it's all okay once they're talking. If they were talking, I could not have been here today.
You got ADHD.
I got nothing.
Calm down.
I think I've done enough in terms of taking our team out of trouble from losing.
Tomorrow, Taylor. That's good.
I'm reading the script now, and the first person that comes to my mind to play a detective,
Yes,
but
the
an
Guyanese critic.
erratic
Mikhail
detective, is Mikhail Rodriguez.
Why an African slap an Indian? Why a man and slap a woman? Look, how you deal with that? You deal with that.
We must encourage platforms like this because it brings together different people and allows for discussions to take place in our country on a multiplicity of fundamental issues.
Kingdom, you apologizing for something you think I did is wrong. I don't want you to do that, and you should not have done that. Hi there, a very pleasant new year to you, pleasant 2025. This is our third program for 2025, and in case you didn't see the previous two, we'd like to wish you a very, 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 very enjoyable and satisfying 2025. May all the things you wish for to make your existence or your life meaningful and those around you, we hope they are fulfilled. My co-host, of course, you know, is Leonard Craig. And we're continuing with a new format we started late last year, in which we wouldn't have a guest, but Leonard Craig and I, we are both academics, not in our own rights, but both academics. So there are things we want to talk about. There are adumbrations, elaborations, analyses that we would like to give you. When we have the guests, we don't get a chance to do that. So on this program on Monday evening, we will allow ourselves the latitude of looking back at 2024. This program is Leonard Craig and I looking back at 2024, and our friend Michael Carrington has joined us. Michael is not the guest. We don't have a guest. He will do what Leonard Craig and I will do this evening. Just look back at 2024 and just talk about the things that bothered us, the things that we appreciated in 2024, the good signals, the bad signals of 2024. So on behalf of Leonard Craig and Michael Carrington, we would like to welcome you to this program in case you missed the first two. So thanks for being with us tonight. And as I said before, there is no interview. We're just going to flow freely. I would ask Leonard Craig to start, and I will ask Michael to follow. I will take the third option. There are some things one particular thing I wanted to say, but I will let Leonard Craig go first and then Carrington, and that is a revelation by the Minister of Finance last year that still has me, to use a word in common parlance, basidi. I'm still confused. In fact, when I was reading it, I was drinking hot coffee and the coffee spilt in my leg and burnt me. In fact, it's not an act of indecency, so I don't know how Carrington and Craig will react, but I could take my trousers off and show you the burn mark. But Carrington is saying don't do that. So let's go to Craig. One more thing, bear up with me. Carrington told me that if Leonard Craig comes back into the AFC, and the AFC wins the election, they will make Craig the finance minister. So over to Craig.
You know, this guy could lie. No, I know that it's next to impossible on the first aspect. Going back to the AFC is next to impossible. And so discussing the other part of that is non-existent.
God, you can't take a joke.
Well, so let's move on. Now, we are talking about some of the things in 2024 that we could consider highlights that we would probably want to review, and then probably look at what the expectation for 2025 would be. So I'd like to join you.
Do a separate program on that.
So I'd like to join you in wishing our viewers a happy and prosperous New Year. So for me, generally speaking, I would love a Guyana, regardless of who they are, with a strong opposition. That is the Guyana I would like to see, especially that we have an oil me and all of that. And for the year of 2024, the opposition was abysmal at what they do. Were very poor, very unimaginative, very shallow, very reactive, and I can cite several instances. For example, in my column of today, in the Guyana Chronicle, I wrote saying that I believe, for example, it's a mistake for the AFC and APNU to have their press conference on a Friday. And let me just give you an example of how many things are wrong with that. First of all, it's going to be responsive. The vice president says something on Thursday, you come in to respond to it. It therefore means then the vice president is setting an agenda for you to respond to. And secondly, you don't got enough time to research on anything the vice president says, enough to respond the following day. It means then you gotta hurry up here and scare them something. And because of that, the nation is underserved. And that is just an example of, how reactive the opposition is. If you hold your press conference, let's say on a Wednesday or on a Tuesday, you have
the weekend to do the research.
Yeah, you have the entire weekend to do the research, and you have also time to actually set an agenda, and you force the vice president to respond. So in his press conference, he would then have to follow a path that you have beaten. And to me, that is basic politics, basic politics. But because the opposition is so weak, and they have been weak all year, they are unable to come up with anything. Sorry, Carrington, you're in the opposition, but you got to take the flak.
But he's a different opposition. He's a more principled, honest man. He's a more principled, honest politician. He has said things here that no other AFC leader would say publicly, and look at the thousands of viewers this program has. But I know you're not beating up on him, but you have to give Jacket. No. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm talking about the other issue with respect to weakness of the opposition is that the opposition is literally in tatters, is divided in and among themselves. And because of that, again, the nation is underserved, because at the end of the day, if you read the Constitution lists the opposition as part of the executive. It has the head in the executive, and then it has opposition leader, and then, and stuff like that. So the contemplation, the Constitution contemplates that the opposition is part of the executive, not executive in power, but they also are paid from the public treasury, from the public funds, and because they are paid, they need to serve us. There are things they need to do. We look forward to the opposition being strong. We look forward to the opposition contributing to policy. We look forward to the opposition having counter policies. I've not seen any counter policy from the opposition, except, when the president announced that, hey, we're going to have this cash grant, then the opposition will come up and say, but to put policy of their own, agenda setting policies of their own on the table for Guyanese to consider, we have not had any of that. And that would be one of my major disappointments in politics for 2024. And not that this started in 2024. It probably started since 2020, 21, 22, and flow over into 24. But one would have thought that by 2024, the opposition would get its act together. But the quality of people that we have leading the opposition is probably the issue. And I don't think it would inspire any form of confidence in the population and the voting public, especially young people. So, Michael, you could.
He just returned from the U.S. And I guess he got the short. It's nice.
This long before.
That looks like a Mexican.
You didn't bring this from the U.S.
No, at all.
When he came back from the U.S., you came into my mind. Because he told me it's Atlanta you went to, right?
Yeah, Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. He told me the place nice. And I said, a lot of people go to the U.S. and say, look, this place nice. They haven't seen China. Because when you see Manhattan, it looks like third world compared to Shanghai.
Actually, it does.
And John F. Kennedy Airport looks like a third world airport. So you haven't been to... When AP and you in government, you didn't go to China.
No, I didn't went to China.
No, you got to take a trip to China.
I will go.
When you see this place, you're going to see how Atlanta, Georgia look like a third world city.
Yeah,
but the floor is yours. We're wrapping.
Yeah. Why I disagree with you in terms of when you think that the AFC should have their press conference. You are actually saying that AFC should have their press conference before the General Secretary of the PPP, Jack Dio, have his press conference. Now, Jack Dio is a part of the government of Guyana. The opposition duties is to see that whatever is wrong taking place in Guyana by the government and address it. So if the government is deliberating and saying certain things which they're doing, and the opposition listen to them today, then the opposition could respond tomorrow. Because we are the opposition. We got to look and see what they are doing and try to correct them if they are going wrong. This is our paid duties, to correct the government if they is doing wrong. The government have their policies and what they are implemented. We could come up with all kind of policies. We don't have the majority in parliament. We can't force any policy. We could come up with ideas and hope that those ideas the government will push sometime or the other. Like the cash grant. If you remember, you were a part of the AFC when the cash grant discussed since in 2016, when Clive Thomas make an assertion that every Guyanese, when the oil pumping and we start really making money in Guyana, every Guyanese will be able to get $1 million a year $1 million a year. So the cash grant didn't start when the PPP in government. It started since we were in government. As a matter of fact, we were pushing it, and a lot of people cussed it down. As a matter of fact, the same contract that we had signed in 2016, the PPP government lambasted it. The same contract have no change up to today. Right? So we both, people were cussed down. When we were in government, the people cussed us down about the oil deal and all kinds. The PPP in government now, the people are cussing down the PPP at the present moment. So I do not agree with you. I think Friday is a very good time because we will respond to the vice chair or whoever make assertion. We will respond and react to what they had said. If we find it is negative, we think that we have to reply to it, we reply to it. But I don't think we should be before. This is my personal feelings. The government held the press conference. We deal with it afterwards because we are the opposition. Now, a lot of policy, a lot of things that we are seeing at the present moment, there's a lot of development. Now, all these developments you're seeing today, it could not have been possible without that same contract that we signed that bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars. When we take this government, the PP budget was $217 billion. The APNU AFC moved that budget to about almost $400 billion. Now it's $1.2 trillion. With $1.2 trillion, you could see a lot of development. So the government, the same contract that they had cussed down, is the same contract that given this present government money to do all of those development. And a lot of what's taking place here. A lot of the contracts is a waste. In my village alone, all the roads that they put down there, the concrete that they put down, is loosened up to pieces. They are trying to create jobs. We know this country have to create jobs. The government is trying to create jobs, but they're trying to create in the area of construction. Hardly in the area of the value-added industry. We have sugar for donkey years. We have rice for donkey years, planting gold, bauxite. But we weren't able in all the years to have those value-added industry up and running. All we base our story right now is sheer contract across the board, which I have no problem. We need roads, we need drainage, but we need proper roads, we need proper drainage. We don't need the things that are taking place at the present moment. We need to be truthful. When we were in government, we make a great effort with the little resource that we had.
I thought you were looking back at 2024.
No, well, 2024 is where a lot of the projects and a lot was to complete 2024. I don't know how the money spent because there's a lot of money budget for 2024. But I don't know up to now if all the money that they budget for in projects and so they were able to complete or at least start some of those projects, because I know the budget for infrastructure was big. We wasn't able $600 billion or something like that. I love my country. You love your, all of us love our country. But if things is wrong, we must say it wrong. If it is right, we must support what is right. If the people do something which is good, I will support what is good. I have no problem with that. If they do something with wrong, I will tell them that it is wrong. And I will send message directly to them sometime and say, I don't like this what's taking place. I will say they may not answer, but I know fully well they read my message, right? So I know you remember you are on the other side of the coin now. You were AFC for years. You and Freddie was part of AFC supporter. You cussed down the PPP left, right, and center. If you go back to some of the letters that Freddie had wrote over the years, hundreds of letters, columns against the PPP. You and all may had wrote a lot against the PPP, but now you're on the other side. So what you have to do, you have to defend the PPP. I will have to defend my party, but I only will defend it what I feel to myself is right. I don't defend wrong. Long as I see something is wrong, I don't try to defend it. But long as I know fully well I'm right, I will defend that. Right? So I disagree with you. Any political party should have the press conference when they feel like having it.
I thought you were looking back at 2024.
No, we are past there. It's 2024.
I don't want to carry on a debate with you, but
You're looking back at 2024. He hasn't told us what he saw in 2024.
I gave my reasons, right? And I am saying having it so soon after. Remember, the week is a cycle.
Yes, I understand.
So nobody is really
time to research.
Nobody is really in front of anybody, because even if you have your press conference on a Friday, and you say something, the VP will respond till the following Thursday, because the week is a cycle.
But the
point I'm making,
he don't make joke for response.
But the point I'm making is that you box yourself in too closely when you hold your press conference on a Friday.
Okay.
It could be held on a Tuesday, Monday, even Wednesday. And the week is a cycle.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying, but I don't want to carry on a debate.
You're gonna take up too much of time.
I'm just saying it's a weak position that you guys have chosen to take. I just think the opposition needs to be a little more brave and a little more deep in their analysis and response and so on. On the issue, again, I don't want to respond tete-a-tete or anything like that, but this is my view on as you mentioned, the roads for 2024. There are lots of concrete roads that are being done. A lot of them are being done well, and I have seen some that are not well done. However, this is my personal belief. This is not obviously it's a political belief, but it's my personal belief.
Okay.
I believe that if we are going to do that, experiment with handing out contracts to small people and starters and so on, if we're going to do that, now is the time to do that. Now is the time to make our mistakes. Now is the time to try to develop new contractors and entrepreneurs. Obviously, if you widen the net, it's like a class. You're taking a class of 30. Some people are gonna barely get 50%. Some people are gonna excel and move on to higher courses, and some people are going to fail. And the system of itself is set up so that the people who fail stays back in a class. So I am saying, when we're starting to spend oil money, if there is a time that we're going to do that, we're going to experiment in this way, I think the time is now. I don't think we should be doing that in 4 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, and so on. We got to do it now, learn from our experience. That is a Chinese model, and we see how China has developed rapidly, and
they don't wait. They don't play. They don't wait.
And the Chinese probably got more contractors than the all of Europe and North America put together. And how they develop it, it's in the same manner. They try to bring in new people, develop new companies, develop thing, and they've made a lot of mistakes. A lot of buildings in China crumble when they think, but yet China now have some magnificent building that America,
some of the best building in the world.
America can't compare. China got the best airport in Beijing, a new airport that they opened the other day, and the one before that supersedes a lot in America, and it was built by Chinese, right? But how they got there, when the money, most of their money is from commerce and manufacturing, but when their money started to come in, they experimented in the same way. And that is all I would say about that. Not that I am defending poorly built roads, but as I'm saying, if there's a time to experiment with that, this would be the time, and not 3, 4, 5, and 6 years from now.
Well, you want to say something?
We're looking back at 2024, and if you I will come. I will come on
Yeah,
when I'm ready. But you go, man. You go.
I understand what you're saying. You must give people some time for you talking that learning period. That contractors have to have learning period, and in terms of that learning period, you will find people will do something which is not proper. This is what you're saying. You're talking about millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Now, what is taking place in most of the case with the contracts is that Tom get his contract. Tom will now go into a village and find the young people who are in the village and then subcontract the work to those contractors. He take off the cream. If it's $100 million project and it's $20 million profit, that is taken off. The $80 million is given to the community or whoever doing the small contract. Most of the time, because they are not basically qualified contractors, they don't have a real qualified engineer supervising them. When the work is finished, the work is poorly done. While I would like to try people in terms of trial and error, make people perfect, at the same time, you have to have, China don't play well come to standard. You know that. China don't make no joke at the present moment where it comes to standard and having a proper work. I am saying, even if people that are learning, they must have enough engineer to supervise them to see that they go in the right direction. You can't wait till a project finish, and then when it is totally out of order, it's not properly done, then you hustling to spend millions of dollars more to correct that project. Right? So we need to invest a great lot. We need to have plenty more engineers than we have at the present moment, because a lot of times they have projects and an engineer just come make a spot check and then he sign off on that program sometime along the line. You need to be truthful. You walk across this country and you see what is taking place. It's not that we have the money now for development, but we need better engineers. We need to train them properly. We need to pay them properly.
No, apart from that, though, I think we also need, what we need is almost all professionals have an association or a society.
Yeah.
Doctors got the medical council.
Medical
lawyers,
association. Medical council is a state body.
Oh, and
association with the doctors called Guyana Medical Association.
Yeah, but there's a medical association and probably a council. But what I'm saying, they have professionals that does supervision type of work. Yeah. Even insurance agent got what you call the Insurance Association of Guyana.
And the custom brokers.
And brokers and all of that. So but the only people that do not have a quality assurance association are contractors.
And there is the biggest budget.
And now that we are going to be spending a lot of money, we should have some form of legislation to force either contractors, just like how electrical contractors have to register, because if you do bad electrical work, you could cause fire and all of that. Yeah. Similarly, if you do bad contracting work, people's homes could collapse,
crack the walls, crack
and
foundation.
So on. One out of two things: either the government needs some legislation to force
the standard of work.
Right. No, well, at least to force contractors to establish an association, or to force contractors to submit to a government council of contractors or something like that. And so contractors could be deregistered and all of that for poor work and things like that. And that in itself can lift the quality of work and things like that. So what I'm saying is that this is a period of learning and experiment, and most countries that have had a windfall went through that. And you mentioned just now that China don't play with their standard. That is true, because, for example, if you're criminally liable in China if somebody die on your work site, right? The owner contractor can go to jail for that.
Yes, that's
right. But previously, it wasn't so,
Yeah, it
right?
wasn't so.
But as countries develop, we got put rules and things like that in place. But we digress a little from 2024.
Yeah.
So,
Let me tell you the one thing in 2024 that bothered me, and I said I was going to take off my trousers and show you this. But before I do that, because of the thousands of people that watch this program, and then it will go into history and become part of Guyana's historiography, I want to respond to something you said. Craig could defend himself. I will defend Craig a little bit. I want to say that because it's so important for historiographical reason. I've known you a long time, and I've written columns after the PPP came into power, recommending you to the PPP, because for the time we've been friends, well, I know you are a decent man, and I know you mean well. But let me respond to the thing about I have written columns criticizing the PPP. Yes, and they were not hundreds, they were thousands. Imagine writing a column a day. Good. But I think those columns, those thousands of columns, created a body of knowledge for the electorate, along with my activism, that allowed the alternative to the PPP to come into power. And when I saw that alternative that came into power, this, I'm repeating this to you because I was with my dog on the seawall Sunday evening, and you and I had this very conversation. We were talking, and my dog was next to me, and I raised my voice. I believe that thousands of columns and the activism resulted in an alternative. And I am only human. I had expectations, in large scale, legitimate expectations. Now, I'll give you one example, and then I come to an example where Craig should hate the AFC. A miasmic substance was thrown in my face that was part of a conspiracy. And we reached a stage where the man who was paid to throw it and was the main and was now the chief witness in the state to unfold for the world to see this conspiracy. And he was mysteriously killed on the railway embankment with the saying he was taking a pee, and you pee in the corner, you don't pee in the middle of the road. And the feeling in the country was that guy was silenced. And
the same guy that threw feces.
Yeah. He was was not feces. Was a whole set of mix-up thing like cow dung and what have you. Now this guy these people who planned the thing were charged, and this main witness was going to say, yes, I threw it, and good. And the man mysteriously died, and it just passed like that. Now, I am the man, one of the men who was responsible for bringing this alternative. I was assaulted, it was all in the papers in the region, and this man, they say, was killed in a road accident. And you thought this government of my friends, David Patterson, Kemadram, would say, let's investigate this thing. This thing just passed like that. Now, those are the legitimate expectations that after thousands of columns you expect. Now, look at, let me give you one more example with Craig, and then I'll move on. This man took his family, I think his mother and his wife were there, to be sworn in as the Minister of the Environment. And the president and he's part of a government that is being sworn in. His mother, his wife is there. And the president just called another man and swore him in as Minister of Natural Patrimony, under which is subsumed Minister of Environment. And this man's party, the AFC, you heard nothing like that. There was no breakup of the coalition.
What year was that?
2015.
Okay.
Now, I want to get it clear to you. When I wrote those thousands of columns, it made, whether you like it or not,
some impact.
It brought the AFC, it brought there's a measurement of that impact. It brought I was locked up for 3 days for a mere traffic offense. The country was annoyed at that, you know. So those concatenation of events caused the AFC to come into power. And then what happened?
I can fully agree with you.
And then what happened? So you don't think we're humans, that we wrote these things against the PPP? And look what we got. Not even a hi and a hello from people that you brought into power. Now, having said that, I wanted to say that for historiographical reason. Let me say the thing in 2024 that bothered me, and it still bothers me, and I think it will continue to bother me if I don't see a change. And I ask the two of you to bear up with me because I want to bring out this point in all its holistic brilliance. The Commissioner of Police says, why are they slapping every person they hold for questioning in the police station? Why are they doing that? You don't do that in any other country. You bring a person for questioning, you slapping them up. Why are the police officers doing that? How could he say that when he is in charge of them? He has to say to them, I will dismiss you if I hear that when you bring in people for questioning in the station, you're slapping them.
Or you charge them.
Right, that's number one. Number two, how can the Minister of Education say, but why are the headmistresses and headmasters wearing T-shirt every day? How can the minister say that when she's in charge of them and she has to tell them, do not wear that kind of clothes or I will dismiss you or I'll get the government to investigate you? How can the Minister of Finance last year said, and this is what he said, and I am still bastardly about it. Every country in the world subscribed to the same Anti-Money Laundering Act. It's a general act, right? So I don't see why in Guyana the banks are hassling people under that act and it's not happening in the rest of the world. How could he say that when he is in charge of the financial regulation and preserving the financial system in Guyana? How could he say that he has to tell the banks, what are you doing? Why are you hassling people when under the same laws, other countries are not doing that to their citizens? And when that man said that, I wondered to myself, who's in charge then of the banking system? Why don't he tell them, you cannot behave like that? And for me, that was one of the lowest moments in 2024. That was one of my reflection of 2024. I get back to you. Your own reflections.
Yeah, that particular issue with the bank, many persons come and complain to me concerning they're going to open a bank account. They have money coming from their family, $1,000, $2,000 US, and they change it up. And when you can't bank that money, you can't open an account with it because you have to have a proof that you're earning money. You have to have a proof that show that you're actually working. As a matter of fact, you have to have actually, if you go to the bank, you can't tell them now.
Let me cut you. But Carrington, no stronger word to use is asininity. You and I have known each other for a long time. Why I can't give you, as a friend, I come into a windfall. Let's say I won the lotto. Why I can't give you $50,000 and you know for hard times go and bank that?
You can't bank it now. You got to prove that you're getting money from you. I gotta actually carry you. I gotta prove that that source of money.
But the man is saying, the man in charge of all this thing is saying, why are they doing this?
Yeah, they need to deal with it.
And he is the Minister of Finance. Anyway,
but look at
I leave it to
look at that situation there. They hundreds of millions of dollars fine in officer account, hundreds of millions of dollars, and those banks are not penalized for it. Under the anti-money laundering law, if you found that anyone with that type of money and they can't give account for it, the bank's supposed to be penalized for it.
No. In this case, I don't think the bank would be penalized because the bank did the right thing. They flagged the transaction and sent it to the FIU.
No, it wasn't them. It was the police.
No.
It was the police
came
accounting firm, not the banks. It's a police accounting firm.
Separately, the banks did flag some of the transactions and send the information. Yes.
I thought it's when he went to bank some money, the police account. The police said what was going on.
That is what brought the issue in the public domain. But the banks did report the matter to the FIU, the Financial Intelligence
I hope you're
Unit, right. In the background, right? So the banks do that. They see a set of suspicious transactions. They report it to the FIU, and the FIU investigate and then send information to SOCU. And that was happening in the background, but then it had to take a faster turn because the credit union of the police then found something else as well.
But Carrington point is still taken, and we have to discuss
I understand that.
The money was in the bank, though.
Exactly.
It is reported that he had 800 million.
Yeah.
But how did it reach there? When it was 40, why didn't it stop? He ended up with 800 million. So the point is, in this legislation, is there a clause to penalize or charge banks?
Anybody.
GBTI wasn't charged under the APNU AFC. They were charging money. There was some charge.
No, it wasn't a charge. It was there was a court case asking them to release certain information, and they were saying that it's their clients' information. And as third party, they can't release it to a third party, even though the third party was the government carrying out an investigation. But that is something by itself. But I believe that we are at a position where banks and certain services, maybe not all, but certain services of the banks should be regulated the same way we regulate public utilities. In that these services are used by the mass public, just as how we use transportation, just as how we use telephone, television, radio. All of them they are regulated in a way as public utilities are, telephone service and so on, electricity.
I want to be in that commission. No, I want to be.
I believe the banks should be regulated. It's not going to be a commission. It has to be regulated through Bank of Guyana. But all I'm saying,
Bank of Guyana has failed the working people of this country.
The rules and how they set it up, it should be as if these things should be treated as if they are public utilities.
I understand what you're saying. I accompanied you when you complained to the Public Utilities Commission that if you call GTT and
you get a voice.
You get a voicemail, you still have to pay for that. I think that is so necessary urgently in 2025. So you could go to this authority and say, they're asking me for my grandmother's earnings. No, look.
Don't use a bad word,
Look. This has to be an election issue. And I've said this 4 times. The PPP, the PNC, the AFC, ANUG, all of the parties that have been formed, if they go and promise the electorate that the mistreatment by the banks will stop, they're going to get votes. One egregious example has to come to an end in 2025. And it has to be an election issue. Your account is dormant. Your account is alive. You went to Afghanistan to see your grandmother. She was dying. You spent 2 months. You come back. Your account is dormant. All you have to do, for God's sakes, man, this is civilized 21st century. All you have to do is go into the bank, show your ID card, and renew your account. You go to the police force, you go to GRA, renew your driver's license, you produce your registration, the police renew your fitness, your bank expire, become dormant. You produce your ID and it's renewed. How you have to get 5 documents to renew something that hasn't moved?
And sometimes you have thousands of dollars in that account, which they use.
I'm telling you, that is one of the unacceptable degeneracies of Guyana that has to come to an end in 2025. This lady at the insurance company, sorry, just let me tell you this. This lady, she works at hand in hand. They told her how thing is closed. And guess what? It's dormant. She said, all right. She got the solution. She said, I'm closing the account. Guess what they told the lady? The very documents to renew the account, and the very document she has to get to close it. She went to a lawyer, and the lawyer is charging her a certain amount, which is over and above the amount she has in the account. She said to me, Mr. Kissoon, that's it, man, let her keep it. How could that be right? How could that be right?
Which brings me to a point. Remember, I told you earlier that I'll be happy to have the Attorney General on our program. Which brings me to a point. I know we're talking about 2024, but if we could just look forward a little.
I want to do a program and looking forward. Anyway.
But I would like to ask the AG to propose legislation for what we call small claims court. There are lots of poor people, for an example you just give, that they have issues with others and sometimes with large firms, but the lawyer fee is greater than the fee you're claiming. So I am thinking that, or I'm saying that anything under $2 million, any claim under $2 million should be considered small claims and go to a small claim court.
2 million is nothing, Guyana, maybe under 5 or 10.
Or whatever that figure is, right? Where I can go.
2 million is not 10,000 American?
Yes.
10,000.
Where I could go before a judge, magistrate, whatever the officer is going to be, and explain in my own words, produce my own documents. Maybe there is a legal aid clinic that can help me organize myself. And then I just go, I can even take an ordinary representative or, you know, who can speak if I cannot speak, and explain, you know, what is the situation and make a claim, because there are many large organizations and very well-off people that are doing injustices,
heartless things
to very small and poor people.
I have 2 neighbors in my compound that pay comprehension. What's it? That insurance
Comprehensive insurance.
Comprehensive insurance. You know how expensive that is a month? And those 2 persons had to wait more than 6 months to get their check.
Wow.
And they pay if you see, one lady told me, one fine citizen of this country is my neighbor, when she kept going as if she's a nuisance. And that's $1 trillion. Both insurance companies are $1 trillion companies. The people pay, you know what's comprehensive? I pay, my insurance is $5,000 a month. I'm not pay no comprehensive. And when you get into an accident, these people taking years to pay. You want a whole set of explanation. There are so many wrong things. But anyway, 2024. Go, Carrington, go. He's the co-host. He will have much more.
Yeah. One of the things, my disappointment in 2024 is the cross grant distribution. We had pushed for it years now. The APNU, AFC had pushed the cross grant. The money really started flowing till after 2020. They'll start pumping in 2019. I had pushed and I had asked them, the government, I had asked that they use what's called the voters registration, the ID card registration database for the records in terms of cutting the checks for the people. I did not think that you need to have a new registration process where basically people have to go and register, take the picture, and then after they register, they got some message will come that they got to go to this place and collect the check, and then they have to go to the bank to change it. I thought they would use the same database we have with GCOM and cut the checks to the people. So you know everybody who live in the different community. If you have 500, 1,000 person in this community, you cut checks for them. Make sure you take off all the dead people off the list and cut checks for the living there and who have not registered in terms of ID cards, you ask them to register. Since this cash grant thing come up, the amount of people went and get registered. They didn't want to go and register. A lot of them went and get registered to have the ID card to ensure that they get the cash grant. The cash grant is a very good thing for people because the country was in a terrible situation. The little money, that $60 billion to $100 billion, that circulation of cash across Guyana would boost the economy. It will boost.
It's about 70 billion going into the economy.
It will go into the economy. That will boost the economy.
I want to buy a bicycle with my 100,000.
Yeah, so I have no problem with it. The oil is Guyanese own. The money that coming in is the people's own. And I don't feel at all the large sum of the money must just go into infrastructure development. I feel we need, for 2025, we need better money spent in technical education. The technical education budget is very small. We need that to actually triple across the country. We need all those high schools to have training centers training our youths. I hear the government spoke about it, that they will invest in the youths in terms of training, but you need it in the schools because we have a lot of children do not make about 60% do not really make it academically in terms of the CXC across the country. It's either 60 or 40% do not make it. So we need to push money in those areas. Academic skill training, processing is the other area. People could plant in a large amount, but somewhere got to take off all of those stuff and canning or do something. I may to understand we may have I don't know if you may have a canning factory on the highway. Sometime I hear something with the news, it just bypass that they may have a canning factory.
You know, a French company has a canning factory. They can hard to farm.
Yeah, well, nobody hard to farm one, but they may in Yarracabra area. They were
you have
talking.
to tell you that's where you live.
Yeah, they were talking about it because our area will have a lot of development will come in. Because remember, the Silicon City is actually back, Swan and all those areas coming back. We actually is frontline. Basically, a lot of vehicles might pass through it to reach the highway. So Yarracabra will have a vast amount of development, I average, in next couple mornings, with government in power, right? So I'm asking this government to invest in our youth, especially the children who had dropped out of school or who had not make it in the CXC. Much more money need to spend in that area, even if you got to put aside a project or two. The road projects or two, because you can't build the country overnight. Guyana will build. We know that Secret River got a bridge. We know that the Borbis River got a bridge, and the river across the Suriname got a bridge. But we need to spend money in technical education and processing. We would not have the oil forever. Trinidad won't disappear. Trinidad is a big thing, so we need to educate our people. And next thing, everybody can't work in the oil industry. Everybody can be in there. We have large amount of wood we produce, and we mustn't send it out wood alone. We must send out wood products, right? So my push this year, especially this 2025, I'm looking for any aspect of development in our country which could create jobs to the people, not just in infrastructure development, but any other area. The next thing I would like to see, and I think they had a big problem, you're not getting nurse. There's not much nurse. They got to import nurse. They got to import teachers. I think we need more school, more nursing school, private nursing school. How much private nursing school we have in Guyana? Do we have any? One.
Pear Street Kitty. St. Joseph Hospital.
Yeah, we need that if people need to pay to get their nursing school training, and they feel free to do that, give them license to do it. Who is qualified to do it? Give them license. Teachers is the same thing. I don't know how much teachers college we have. Private
those
teachers
were one
college.
of the things on your mind in 2024?
In 2024 and 2025, right through.
We're looking at 2024.
Right.
What was on your mind?
My mind, my big problem that I had in 2024, that the government, I don't know if you know, the local government commission came to end in April. Today is
April
January.
last year.
Yeah, today is January, and that commission is not established back again. The government need to, this year, as early
I
as
didn't know
possible.
that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, as early as possible, they need to establish that commission back again.
But Carrington, you are a senior member on the opposition.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about when I spoke earlier. That I would prefer a Guyana. I would prefer a Guyana with a strong opposition. The opposition, and I think AFC itself has had a member on the last local government commission.
Yeah.
Marlon Williams.
And then
No, it was
Trotman.
Nicolette Trotman.
Trotman, she was on it.
And the AFC has a member. The commission is dissolved by constitution. It came to an end. And did you hear a peep about that anywhere? Did you hear anything in the news?
No, I didn't know. No, he was telling me
exactly. And so there are issues that the opposition could deal with. But again, I'm saying they are not giving themselves room to set agenda and topics. They're just reactive. Somebody from the government may have said this and you react to it. But there are real issues that the opposition could take up and that could benefit the public.
Yeah, I think one of those issues is minibus and speedboat raising their price. I mean, those people feel the cost of living like everybody else. You go in the market, you go in and buy baby milk. Baby milk for baby gone up. So the speedboat operator, his wife don't have to buy baby milk. And I think when those people are prevented from raising their fares, that is something that the opposition, two things the opposition are falling down on badly. Banks' mistreatment of ordinary working class people. You don't hear they talking about it.
I write couple letters.
You ever hear Christopher Ram? Christopher Ram is right about everything under the sun. But because he's probably an auditor for one of the big commercial banks. It's two things they're falling down on. They leave the working people on their own and those increase in fare for minibuses and speedboats. Those people, everybody.
I agree with you.
This water,
I agree with you,
water
Craig.
cost $20 less last year.
I agree with you, Craig, that we need to do far much more. The opposition need to do far much more in terms of pushing the opposition agenda. In terms of if you have a good opposition, you will have any government in power. You will have a good government. Good government. So we need to do far more in our term. A lot of research. We need to do that. In terms
Minister Bishop Edgell was on this program, sat in the same chair and said, a country needs an opposition that keeps the government on its toes.
I am in the AFC and I stay in the AFC because I tell
Vice Chairman.
I told Freddie many times, a country have to have an opposition. If everybody jump on board,
what kind of opposition?
If everybody jump on board with the PPP, then you have no opposition. Then you will have a worse situation. So an opposition can build over the years. You have people come and go. People do shit all the time. Excuse my language. People do things, and we got to do is try and see if we can move those people out. If they continue to go the same way, then we have to get rid of them somehow.
So who you getting rid from there anyway?
Don't leave the man
alone. Some people do get rid of themselves too. Also, you know that. But in terms, we need to do far more in terms of work, in terms of working for the people, in terms of our position. We fall along in some areas.
Some areas.
You fall down.
Holistic disintegration.
Period.
Holistic disintegration.
There may be some areas that we fall along, but we still. Watch.
And he's facing up to say maybe.
Kissoon, Freddie. If you read the papers today or you listen to the news, the party that you cussed down and saying is a dead party, you spoke mostly about the AFC every day. I think you had written more about the AFC than the afternoon in the last couple mornings. nearly majority of your column actually deals some way or the other with the AFC. Why?
But
You said the party dead. So if this party is so dead,
well, I'm writing about the dead.
you're right.
I'm writing
That's
about
why
the
you're writing about the dead.
But I'm right.
You
Because I'm
still
writing about the
recognize.
dead.
Listen to me.
I write about the dead so it could go into history.
But you're burying the dead. You're burying the dead
for historical reasons.
You're keeping the dead alive.
No, I'm writing about the dead so the lessons could be learned. The lessons
For
could
the
be
future
learned.
generation.
Yeah, lessons could be learned. The operator said our time has come. The two of you have the floor.
So just to wrap up, as I said, I'm with you on the issue of the banks. I got some of my own concerns.
He said for this new year, he's going to mount a one-man picket. I'm joining him. We just like old age, you coming?
Yeah, I could join that
Three-man picket. Three-man picket outside the bank.
Yeah.
Three-man. What's the thing? What the placard going to say?
Well, we will develop it, but
You got any idea for the placard?
I am currently
banks mistreating poor people.
Yeah.
Right. That's my placard.
I am putting together a list of demands, and it is long. It's past 10 already going, and by the time I finish, it might be 25.
Voluminous.
Yeah. It's sad.
We could work. I think we could work on
situation
that
is sad.
particular situation in terms of the bank.
Anyway,
my thing is, I am pushing this year. It's two things I'm pushing for.
We gotta go now.
I know financial independency for the local government authorities and a $30,000 tax allowance for the upbringing of children. The government decided they will give $10,000 from this year. You know that?
10,000 per child per month.
Per month for this year.
You want it to move to 30?
30, which is $1,000 a day. 10,000 a month is $333 a day.
We got to go.
Right. So I wanted to move to $30,000, which is $1,000 a day.
All right, we got to go.
It costs you about $1,000 a day to take.
We got to go. When I get my 100,000, I want to buy a bicycle. My
You're going back and ride?
Yeah, no, I ride in the park, but the bicycle falling down.
Okay.
Michael, this shirt looks nice in you. Leonard, Happy New Year. Michael, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
We were just rapping with each other, Michael Carrington and Leonard Craig. There were no guests. We were just looking at the things that bother us in 2024. Informal chat among three friends. We will see you on Wednesday. On behalf of Michael Carrington, Leonard Craig, please have a happy and prosperous 2025. See you on Wednesday.